So if you give somebody a normal milkshake, but you tell them that it's a diet milkshake, their gut behaves as if the drink is low fat, even though it's full fat. Which is weird, right? And here's something even more weird. Let's say a patient wakes up from knee surgery and the doctor says that they've done the operation. The knee gets better, even though the doctor only made an incision in the skin. Now, such examples like the milkshake, where the person is convinced it's a diet drink, and so their gut behaves as if it is, and the knee surgery that didn't really happen, it was just an incision in the skin, and yet they get better. Those kind of examples are everywhere. For instance, if you give a drug a big fancy name, it's going to work better than if it has just a boring, ordinary, standard name. Antidepressants work better depending on who prescribes them, not what's in the drug. Now, I was watching a TV show once, and it was a documentary, and they had a medical experiment. And half of the people had the real drug, and the other half had a sugar pill with no drug in it. And it's how they do these kind of randomized controlled trials to find out whether a drug really is beneficial, whether it really is having an impact. And so half the people got the real drug, the other half just got a sugar pill, had no drug in it whatsoever. And yet for many people in that documentary, in that trial, the sugar pill actually worked. And in fact, when the trial was over, one of the women who was in the trial was insistent that she kept on getting the pills because they'd worked. And the doctors were saying, but they're just sugar pills. And she said, I don't care what they are. They worked and I want them back. And it might sound strange that if you tell someone that they're drinking a diet drink, that the body behaves as if it did. And if you don't give someone a knee operation, just an incision in the knee, the body actually heals in the same way. And it might be strange if you just give a drug a fancy name and it starts to work better. And it might seem strange that somebody knows they've got the sugar pill, and yet it worked so well that they demand it even after a trial is over. But it's not so weird. It's a real thing, and it's called the placebo effect. And a placebo is where no actual medicine or treatment is actually given, and yet we get better anyway. Now, this has been documented a lot. If you give a person a sugar pill, but you tell them it's a stimulant, their heart rate will increase. Their blood pressure will go up as if they've actually had a stimulant, and they haven't. If you give them the exact same sugar pill and tell them it helps with sleep, then their heart rate lowers and their blood pressure lowers. There's also cases where people have been shown to act drunk on non-alcoholic beer, as long as we tell them that it's actually alcohol. In fact, the statistics say that if a doctor just gave their patients a placebo, a sugar pill, just as a matter of course, then 30% of those patients would get better. And, of course, there'd be no side effects, which is great. Now, this never happens because it would involve a doctor tricking their patient. And that's unethical. You know, if you went to see your doctor with a complaint and he tricked you and gave you something that wasn't actually real, I'm sure you'd be annoyed. But nonetheless, if you did do it, 30% of people would get better. Now, it may well be unethical to trick your patient if you're a doctor, but this is the strange thing. Studies actually show that it can work even when the person knows that it's a placebo, even when they know it's just a sugar pill and there's no medicine in there whatsoever, that you can hand over a drug and say, there's no drug in this, There's no actual medicine in this. It's just sugar, but, take it 3 times a day. And when that happens, these placebos where the patient actually knows full well that it's a placebo, they do actually have an effect on a range of issues. So they've been shown to have an effect on depression, pain, sleep disorders, irritable bowel, menopause, and many, many other conditions. And yet, there's nothing at all in the pill. So it's powerful stuff. And the reason why this interests me is because this power is not in medicine, because there is no medicine. The power is located solely within the patient. If you were to take a placebo, you would likely respond in the same way as these people do. So the power is actually located in you. You are already powerful stuff. So there's nothing within the medicine, because it's not medicine. The medicine's fake. And yet the results are real and they're repeatable. All of the healing, though, happens because you trigger change within your own body. And this is how powerful that we all are. It's incredible. It's how powerful our mind is. And this isn't some woo-woo thing. This is something that every health scientist knows. In fact, they know it so well that your ability to heal yourself is actually factored into every study that any health scientist does, that the power of your mind to heal you is factored into every study of medicine that is done. You see, many studies show that a particular drug is helpful, but that's not enough to get registered. What they have to show is that it's been more helpful than your mind just on its own. And this is why placebo trials exist. It's why half the people get the drug and half just get the sugar pill. So the scientists don't just accept the power of your mind, they measure it. They build every medicinal test that they do around it, because they know that a huge chunk of our improvement with any drug is actually nothing to do with the drug at all. It's to do with the remarkable power of us. And so any proposed medicine can't just improve you. It has to outdo you. It has to outperform what you would have done on your own, the improvements that we all make on our own. And so there's many proposed medicines which were shown to improve, to get a better result, to get a good outcome, but it didn't do better than the half of the people who just got the sugar pill. And so those medicines don't get approved, because even though they improved the outcomes, the people with the sugar pill actually did better. And so for a medicine to be shown to be medicinal, it has to outperform the documented power of our own minds to heal. So all that research, all that study, all those lab tests that are involved in actually building the medicine up until the point that it goes to trial, and they still don't beat the power that you already have within you, and so fall by the wayside. In fact, it's really hard to come up with a medicine that's better than the healing that we're already capable of. It's really hard. And strangely enough, over time, the power of that placebo effect, the power of our own minds, has actually gotten stronger, has become more powerful, which is fascinating, really, when you think about it. And so medicines that are being tested today have to be even better than medicines that were tested back in the day, because our placebo effect, our ability to heal ourselves with nothing more than a sugar pill in our mind, has actually increased over time. So it's hard to come up with medicine that's better than the healing that we're capable of, especially now, as the healing that we're capable of alone has increased. And thankfully, people do develop such medicines, but it's really not easy to do. In other words, you're a difficult healer to beat. You're powerful. You're powerful than a huge amount of medicines that get tested each year, that have been the subject of all sorts of research and development and lab tests to get it to the advanced point where it's ready to go into a random clinical trial. And yet still, even when they improve things, still, you beat all of that many, many times. Now, the reason I'm talking about placebo is because if you're so powerful that you can outdo many, many medicines that never end up getting on the market because they're not as powerful as you are in terms of healing, can you imagine that inherent power applied not just to your body, not just to your health, but to your life itself? And so my invitation to you is to connect to that power. You see, this is not some sort of new age thing. This is hard science. This is something that is properly documented and is built in to every single medicinal test that happens. The random control test is built upon the placebo effect and is all based on, can this new drug beat the placebo effect, beat the power of your mind? And so my invite to you is to connect to the fact that you're powerful. And if science knows that you can change your body, and of course it does, it knows that if it just gives an incision on your knee, that the knee can get better. It knows that if it just gives you a sugar pill with no medicine in, you can make yourself get better. So if science knows that you can change your body, what else can you change once you realize just how powerful you actually are? What about your life can you change once you realize that you're so powerful that years and years of research and development and scientists and lab technicians and professors and academics very often still can't beat the healing power that is inherent in you? So what if you were to use that power in order to change your own life? You know, it's often that we can conceive of ourselves as helpless or powerless or with little capacity to change the things around us. We can conceive of ourselves as stuck. We can conceive of ourselves as being at the mercy of events. And yet, the reality is that you're really powerful. You're powerful enough to beat medicines that have spent years in development. And if you're powerful to do that, what else do you have the power to do that could make life better for you? So if you like this idea and you find it helpful, please spread it to others so they can find the benefit as well. You can work with me directly. I'm Alun Parry. You can find out more at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. And please do subscribe to the podcast because it's completely free. It means you never miss an episode ever again. And of course, there's a new episode every day for you to listen to. So thanks for listening to this one, and I'll see you again tomorrow. You're listening to A Slice of Therapy with me, Alun Parry.